How did the PTA meetings go?
They're so good in a lot of ways. I mean, a 12-hour day where you're constantly talking and teaching is very exhausting, but for me also very fulfilling. I get a lot of energy from people and I really love to speak with the people. And I had a really fun Alexander Technique moment where I noticed about an hour and a half somewhere into it that I needed to give myself a direction because I felt hunched over. I felt pressure that I know isn't doesn't need to be there. So I didn't even think of an exact direction because in the moment I couldn't pick one. I just thought like directions, like suddenly just
Directions. Oh, did it worked?
it was just like I could feel the heaviness go. I felt lighter.
Hmm.
I felt more present. And then like I have a sticky note on my computer of like the main points from our previous lesson. So then, but the thing at the top was I'm not breathing. And I'm like, this is not a good time for that. I don't know,
Well,
maybe a different direction.
it might have been a good one, but as we talked about before, having a selection of
Mhm.
directions is really valuable.
Yeah.
And because, and probably there are going to be one or two that will be your go-to if you don't have the mental energy to pick and
Pick one.
choose. But somehow the direction worked.
I
Yeah,
think I ended up landing on I am free. That seems to be one that is my current go-to.
super short, super has
Yes.
that advantage, and it also has the advantage that it's very hard for you to jump in and try to help
Hmm.
because what would you do to help? Yeah, so that I mean that's one of its great strengths.
Uh-huh.
Two really. It's short and kind of hard to for students to figure out how to mess up, you know, or for
Right.
anyone, teachers,
I
students,
agree.
anyone. Yeah. So
Hmm.
anything else come up this past week?
Hmm. So a couple of things, just little nuggets that I was able to use Alexander Technique and felt the benefits almost immediately. One was in spin class, so I was thinking of instead of spinning and using your whole leg, what if you just move the center of gravity of your legs and let gravity help you do what you need to do? And so like I decided to myself like body, you are free to let your center of gravity be what moves.
Hmm.
And so I found like my legs could go faster because I almost wasn't thinking about my whole leg anymore. I was like, my whole leg was fluidly working, but when you're just moving the centers of gravity, it's almost like everything under your knee says, thank you for letting me go. And it just like my legs were able to actually like move more fluidly because I wasn't micromanaging what the non-centers of gravity were doing.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if
That's
I
good.
worded that right, but that was a good moment.
Yep.
One of the most helpful or the biggest ahas was today. So yesterday I had a 12-hour work day, which was very tiring. And then like there were circumstances in my plan time that made me unable to actually plan for the day because I had to teach for another teacher. So I never felt like I could emotionally catch up. And my mind was starting to, like, I was trying to stay relaxed, but you know how it goes on those days where you kind of feel like life is a running downhill and you can't slow it down. And so when I went to school today, the morning was doing the same thing. And when that happens, without realizing it, like all of a sudden, I thought, wait, my throat hurts. Everything I used to do before Alexander Technique, I was doing unconsciously.
Hmm.
My throat was hurting. And I'm like, it's not supposed to be this way. Like
Hmm.
I know better now. and for the life of me, I wanted to grab a yoga mat and just go down into 5 minutes, but
Mhm.
I couldn't because I teach for about 6 hours straight, no stop, and it's 5 hours straight, no stop, and I was in the middle of that. So I tried to just think, okay, give yourself a direction. And the one that in those moments helped me is I'm not doing everything.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
I told you the difference between you said, is there a difference between I'm not doing everything? And in those moments where I can feel myself starting to kind of spiral because life, I can't catch it, the direction, I'm not doing everything, gives me not just a great direction for better use of my body, but again, it's like I can't solve all these problems right now, so I'm not going to right now.
Perfect.
And it,
Yeah.
it really, I'm not doing everything is a great direction for me to use when I can feel myself kind of moving too fast and I can't catch up.
Sometime when you're using it not under a pressure situation so much, you might compare that with I'm not doing anything
Mm-hmm.
or just I'm not doing.
Not doing.
Yeah, I mean, just play with that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but in one way, it almost doesn't matter what direction you choose because they're all nudging you in the same basic direction,
Mm-hmm.
same basic change in your, improvement in your ways of doing things. But
Right.
yeah, well, that's great. And was there
Yeah.
another nugget moment, or is
I need to write them down as they happen, carry
yeah,
a little journal, but I kept hoping to find a good time to use the power pose, and I didn't have one. I
uh-huh.
don't like. I think I was waiting for like a moment where I needed to feel a little bit more predominant, and I guess teaching any class could be a moment where I might, before the kids come in,
I
try one.
yeah, I would just do it with no particular reason from time to
Hmm.
time because
Okay.
um, you obviously there are a lot of situations where that's not going to be appropriate. Uh,
Hmm.
but if you have an opportunity at home or before a class, when no one's around, just do three of those. The whole thing takes under a minute, and
Hmm.
you're going to get a little expansion, a little increase in height. And then if you use some other directions along the way, you can perhaps prolong that for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, but
All
I
right.
mean, I, there's always gonna be times when you're gonna either think, I just went half a day and I never even thought about the Alexander technique, or
Hmm.
I did think about it, but I had no idea what to do because I was caught up in, some craziness.
Yeah.
It was taking
Well,
all my energy,
yeah.
my mental energy. Yeah,
Right, but at least now I recognize I have something, a tool I can use.
right,
Whereas
right.
before, I could, like, I didn't know what to do. It was throw your hands up in the air. You felt like there isn't anything I can do. My throat is tense and there's nothing I can do. But now it's like there's something I can quote do, but the thing is I don't have to do anything. I just had to direct myself.
Right, right. And Alexander teachers love to talk about non-doing,
Not doing.
meaning doesn't mean you're not going to do anything to get through life, but their idea is not doing anything to try to not doing anything unnecessary and not doing anything in terms of implementing directions for sure. That's sort
Yeah.
of the meaning there. It's not all that explicitly put out there that way sometimes, but that is
Mhm.
kind of what the idea is.
Mhm.